Hi, this is Gordon De Silva, and I'd like to talk to you today about how I became a #1 international bestseller in just 1 month. In fact, it ended up just yesterday. Hello. A month ago, I decided to launch a book. I decided to write a book and have it launched within a month. That was a pretty strict target, wasn't it? And I managed to do that. And yesterday, it was a very late night. But it was super exciting because I could just see myself hitting #1s in all the different countries. I hit #1 in America, I hit #1 in Canada, I hit #1 in Germany, I hit #1 in Australia, and I hit #1, of course, in my home country, the UK. And it was just exciting, but more than just because it was exciting, it was a proof that a process works. What I did was I hired a coach. And the coach had a proven process to help writers get to #1. Now, it costs, The coach had a process to help writers get to #1. Now, the coach was not cheap, right? And I've used other people before to coach me, and I've always found you get what you pay for. This person was reasonably expensive, but he really seemed to know what he was doing. He had a clear process for getting me from A to B, from having not written a book to having written the book, have it published, and get it to #1. Now that's a tall order, isn't it? To actually be able to say you can get somebody to a #1 bestseller. Now, I exceeded all my expectations and probably a little bit of his, in that I got to #1 in 5 countries. That is amazing. I really am super proud of what I've done, but also super proud of proving the process works. So what are the elements of this? The first thing is that there is a process of getting from A to B. So we got from having not written the book to having written the book to having it as a #1 bestseller on Amazon. And even one category in one country. That would be good enough, wouldn't it? Because that's pretty special, isn't it? So that's the first thing, right? He had a process, and the process was laid out and it was clear to see. You didn't have to do it in 1 month. That was a bit of a tall order. You could have taken 2 months, 3 months, 6 months to do it, or even a year. I decided to do it in a month. So that's part of the skill of a process. You can take a short time to do something, or you can take a longer time to do something based on how you feel, right? If I had said I wanted to take 3 months on it, he would have helped me do that in 3 months. If I had said I wanted to take 6 months to do it, that's the time frame he would have worked with. If I had said I wanted to do it in 2 weeks, I'm sure he would have tried to have a go at me at doing that. The next element was a mentoring group. So this is where we were part of a group of his students, his authors, who had already achieved #1 status. Now, can you imagine working with people who've already done what you want to do? The reason we do that, and the reason why it's so powerful, is because they have already overcome the problems that I was facing. They'd already solved the problems. They'd already worked out the wrinkles. They'd already identified the bumps that you needed to be prepared for and the timescales you needed to be prepared for. And so working in a group with a mentor group, a mastermind group of people who are like-minded, they're all positively framed, they'd all had the success and knew the process worked, was really cool. So that was the second element. The third element, which was missing out of this process, which I instigated into the process, was an accountability program. Then accountability program basically said, look, here's my time frame. I'm going to do this. I want you to hold me accountable to it. And I'm willing to be held accountable to it, to you. Now, a promise made to someone else is always, for me at least, more powerful than a promise made just to myself internally. You know, if I say I'm going to do something by in a month's time, I could do it and I could have some slippage and stuff. But if I've told the world, or my mentor group, or my coach that I'm going to do it in a month, I've made a promise to someone, and I've given them permission to hold me accountable to that promise. That's the other ingredient that helped me achieve this goal in an amazing 4-week period. Of course, there was the element of the process, there's the element of the mentor group, there's the element of the mastermind group, there's the element of the accountability. And all of those helped me get to number one in 5 countries within a month. And that is exactly what the Profit Multiplier Program does for my clients in my process. The Profit Multiplier Program is all a process about taking you from where you are now, typically a business that's been running for over 5 years with stuck profits. They're not growing fast enough. They're not growing at, maybe they're growing at 4, 5, 10%. They want them to grow at 20, 25%. Maybe even sales aren't growing. Maybe your client numbers aren't growing. Something is stuck in your business. It may be that you're just working too hard, and the only way to grow your profits is to work even harder. And you know there isn't that time available to do that. It may be that your business hasn't sufficient value. You may want to sell your business in 2, 4, 5, 10 years, and it isn't worth what you think it should be worth, given all the hard work, the energy, the sacrifices you've made to build it to where it is today. Something is stuck, and you want to get it. So that's where you want to start from, and where we want to get to is a successful business that's growing, that's got more value, that's easier to run, that's more fun to run. And you want to do it in a reasonable time frame. Now that time frame may be a week, or it may be 3 months, 6 months, 2 years. We want to achieve something in 3 months. We don't want to be looking at a year before we achieve anything. So we want to make some quick wins. We want to get some momentum going, because momentum builds on itself, right? For me, it was when I wrote my first chapter, when I wrote my second chapter, I wanted to get more in. I got my 3rd, 4th, 5th chapters. I got my conclusion. I got my cover made. I opened an account. Just the momentum built until we got it launched yesterday, and it hit record success. In the same way, we want to get some early wins. Like I got my first chapter done very quickly, the same evening I signed up. In fact. What we can do is get you some momentum in the first week, in the first 10, 20 days, so you can actually go, I can see how this will help me. I can see how this is going to make my life easier. I can see how this is going to get me more clients. I can see how I can make more money out of this. And that's the momentum we want to build, because as you get momentum, a bit like a snowball, it builds. If you've ever been on an aircraft taking off, it starts off and you can feel the thrust, but it's not that quick, but it builds quite rapidly. And you can imagine it's quite an unstoppable force as it gets down that runway and then takes off. That is exactly the process that the Profit Multiplier Program is all about. It starts off with creating some momentum. It may be some small momentum, but it's movement. And then we begin to accelerate it. As you get more and more space in your calendar, in your time, and you get a bit more knowledge and know-how, you can then begin to build that momentum to increase your growth. So the accountability within the program is, you make promises. You say it's your promises. I don't set your deadlines. You set your own deadline. I may challenge you. You may say, I want to get to this in a year. And I go, well, why not in 6 months? Or I want to do a certain thing in 3 months' time. And I'll say, well, why can't we do it in a month's time? Because, look, I know how fast things can be done. And sometimes people give themselves too long to get things done, and as such the momentum is just too slow, and it never gets off the ground like that jet plane, right? We need to get momentum, and sometimes if you say, look, I want to revamp my website, and it may take me 6 months, I may say, look, I can build a website in 2 days. Why do you need 6 months to build a website? And that's the sort of challenge I bring, in that. This didn't happen in my program because I challenged myself, and I'm really good at that. But sometimes for clients who've been stuck and don't have that momentum, they need a bit of a push to know that some things are possible. If you don't know you can build a website in 2 days, then you don't know you think it's going to take 6 months, and that's what it takes. But if you know it can be done in 2 days, then you can make it happen in 2 days. Does that make sense? So that's the challenge within the accountability thing. The mentor group is we will join forces with other businesses just like you. The mentality just like you. They want to grow. They're positive-minded. They're ambitious about their business. They're ambitious about their personal wealth. They want to get on and do better. And by doing that, you will come across people who've solved your problems already. It may be that I know that, because I've met thousands of businesses, I've worked with hundreds of businesses, and I've seen loads and loads of problems solved. I am really fast at solving problems. But there may be issues that you're facing that maybe I haven't seen. I haven't seen everything. And there may be other people within our group who have solved that problem already, who can help us get you moving. So that's part of the mentor mastermind group that'll get you moving. And of course, on a one-to-one basis, you want the nuances of that group model brought down to a one-to-one finesse point, a magnifier, a focus point for you and your business, because there are things about your business that are unique. There's loads of it that is completely the same as every other business. The challenge of getting new clients, the challenge of getting your work done better, the challenge of being more productive, the challenge of having more time, the challenge of leveraging your time so that you don't have so much to do. All of those things are part of the process. And the program and how it takes you from here to there through this whole setup of mentoring and masterminding and one-to-ones and know-how and planning on a day-to-day micro basis. You go, well, what's one thing you can do tomorrow that will take your business forward? Just one thing. And you do one of those a day, and you've done 5 things a week. You've done 20 or 25 things a month, and you've done hundreds of things a year. Now you think you do 100 small things that make your business go forward a year. Where's your good business going to be in a year's time, right? So that's the process of the profit multiplier. Now, if you, like me, can see the benefit of taking a process, running the process, getting mentored, getting coached, getting accountable, and getting a result, 5 number 1 bestsellers, 12 number 1 categories in 5 countries around the world in 1 month, then you can see how the Profit Multiplier Program can take your business and you from where it is now to a far more successful, fun, and easier business to run. If that in any way has some resonance with you, I implore you to think about the next step carefully. Are you going to pause this recording or turn it off and just go back to your normal routine tomorrow and be no further forward and have the same problems in your business, in your life, as you have now? Or are you going to click one of the buttons on this page and maybe book in a 10-minute call just to see if we can help? There's a chance we may not be able to help you, right? There are many businesses we cannot help. Startups, we don't get involved in this process. It's not right for them. Businesses that are just fed up, they don't believe anything's going to work. If that's the case, it's not going to work. There's nothing I can do to make your mind change. If you believe that's going to work, I'm not going to be able to change it. I don't want to change it. I haven't got the time or the energy to change your mind. You've got to believe somehow in your gut that your business is worth more and is worth fighting for, and you need someone who's going to help you do that. Like I did. I didn't know the skills of getting my book, my knowledge from my head into my book to a number 1 bestseller. I went and found that person. He helped me. He guided me. He put a group around me. I held myself accountable. Through that group, I found some people who were working on the same pace, and we got that success. What would you do differently if you had the chance? Would you take an opportunity like that for your business and take your business from here to there? Would you take that jet propulsion where you get some momentum going and build on that momentum to take off? Or do you believe you've got all the solutions and every year for the last 5 years you've just been growing rapidly? If you have, you don't need this. But if you haven't, I would suggest to you that something needs to change. And the first thing that needs to change is what goes on here. That's what did it for me. I decided I'm not going to wait 2 years to write the book and not get to number 1. I'm going to fast track this thing. I want success now, 1 month, not in 2 years' time, potentially. I went and did it now. I did it for myself. I did it for my business. I did it for those around me. And I did it to prove a point. I don't know if I've done that today, but hopefully there's something in all of this that resonates with you, and as a result, you do something different. Whether it's dial one of those numbers on the top, bottom, or something, and just book in a 10-minute call with me to see if there is some future for us to work together or not, or I can just point you in the right direction, or tell you at what point in your development we may be able to work with you, if ever, or maybe it's just wrong for you. Or are you just going to look at doing it yourself, and if you are, that's absolutely fine, but do it. Put a diary note in 30 days' time. If you haven't got that momentum, if you haven't got that pace going, if in 90 days you haven't started really picking up the pace and seeing a difference in how you feel about your business, what you're doing in your business, and what results your business is beginning to show, then you know you need to come back to this page, click on the button and book in a 10-minute call. That's all I ask. I want you to be as successful as I was yesterday. I want you to score, and I want you to score big. And I'm willing to help you along that path if you need it. If you don't need it, hopefully this has caused a little bit of inspiration that will change what you do in here, that will translate into your wallet, into your business. This has been a bit of a rant. I apologize, I'm so excited about my success yesterday, about how the whole process was proved to work. Again, it's not the first time in my life, and it won't be the last, that I've used experts to help me get further, faster. What are you going to do? Take care of yourself, and if we get a chance to speak, I'm going to enjoy that conversation. I hope you will too. Goodbye.